I'm Adam Green. I'm a pediatric brain tumor physician at Children's Hospital Colorado and faculty member in pediatric brain tumor research at the University of Colorado School of Medicine. I study a pediatric brain tumor called diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, or DIPG. And DIPG is a very aggressive form of pediatric brain cancer. It comes from glial cells that support the neuron cells, the nerve cells in the brain, but these cells are abnormal and they grow into tumors. And these tumors grow in a part of the brain called the pons, which is a part of the brain stem at the back of the brain that controls some very, very basic functions to children's lives, like their breathing, their heart rate, their awareness and awakeness, and swallowing. And so it's a very, very difficult area to have a tumor. And the issue with these tumors is that they grow among the normal cells in the pons, and so it's really very difficult and really impossible to do any kind of surgical intervention on these tumors. These tumors affect about 300 children in the United States every year, so they are certainly unusual, like most children's cancers. But because they have such a poor survival rate, they cause really the most childhood cancer deaths of any childhood cancers, because unfortunately we have not been able to come up with adequate treatment for these tumors yet, and so right now we really have a 0% overall survival rate with these tumors. So there are a lot of groups around the country and the world now working on DIPG research, because we all understand that the outcomes for these tumors are so poor that we really need to do something to improve the state of treatment for these patients. And over the last 10 years, we've really learned a lot about the biology of what drives these tumors to grow. We know now from doing biopsies on these tumors, and first from some very courageous families that decide to donate their children's tumors after the children die, that these tumors are driven or at least harbor some very unique genetic features that we don't see in really any other human diseases. And so these are mutations of a protein called histone proteins, and histone proteins are the proteins around which DNA is folded when it's in its storage state. And so it was kind of a very surprising discovery to find that these tumors harbor these mutations, and so now we're trying to figure out how to exploit these genetic changes that we see to improve treatment, and that's really what has to come next. Now that we understand kind of a lot more about these tumors, we need to translate that understanding into better treatments. And so that's really what my research focuses on, is finding weaknesses in these tumors and trying to use new treatment modalities, mostly new chemotherapy medicines, to try to stop these tumors from growing. And so we've worked with one particular new chemotherapy medicine in particular that we found to be very effective against these tumors in a petri dish and in mouse models that we use of the human tumors growing in mice. And we've been able to bring that new treatment through to the first clinical trials of this new chemotherapy medicine in children. And so we have a clinical trial of this medicine that's open nationally now at 23 children's hospitals, and are working to figure out how well this new treatment will work against DIPG. And then we also have multiple projects still going on in the laboratory to learn more about this particular chemotherapy agent and how it works in DIPG and kind of what patients might benefit the most from it, and also trying to learn other new things about DIPG and its weaknesses in the lab that we can then use to create other new treatments, because we know probably overall this is such a difficult to treat tumor that it's going to take kind of a combined approach of different new treatments to finally produce hope and cures for these children and families. So Dr. Lindsay Hoffman is one of my colleagues in the pediatric brain tumor program, and she is also a DIPG investigator. And together we are really proud and honored to work with the IKM Foundation on this event to try to raise awareness and funding about DIPG. And both of those aspects are really important because pediatric cancers in general are rare. They don't generate as much public awareness as adult cancers, and they definitely don't create as much research funding either. We often quote the statistic that only 4% of funding from the federal government for cancer research comes to pediatric cancer research, and there are lots of different types of pediatric cancer that all need research done to improve treatment, and that's especially true for DIPG. And then, so to have the opportunity to create awareness in the community about how this disease impacts children, both in our community and nationwide, and about the research we're doing to try to combat this disease is really wonderful for us. And to be able to raise funding for research through IKM via the Morgan Adams Foundation, which is a really wonderful group in its own right that supports pediatric brain tumor research at Children's Hospital Colorado, is really a wonderful opportunity, and we're very happy to have this chance.